With the cars this season, we're running a 2016 Brecker chassis through BSL. We've done a little change with the arm guard, and we're running an aggressor arm guard just so we can package in more sponsors and all that kind of stuff. In terms of setup wise and that, we're running our own sort of deal with our own shock package and kind of that stuff. So we'd like to keep things within our team, and you know we're out to win. So if we bend something, we want to keep our secrets in and fix it ourselves, so we know we can get back out there and there's no time consuming through any other places. Tyres, you know, we're running Hoosiers. Definitely a different tyre to what we used to run in the TQ. You know, with the Hoosiers we found couldn't get the heat into them enough because the wheels weren't spinning enough, and so that will definitely play a little part into it, and learning different compounds of Hoosiers and all that kind of stuff. And so we're definitely going to have good rubber on the cars. Like Dad always said, that's the 4 things underneath you that's between you and the track that makes you go forward. So motor wise, we're running a Honda F20C. That's what Dobbs has run the past couple of seasons, and you know, that's really worked out for him. So that's his little sprinkle of sugar on the cars. They get looked after at High Tech Motorsport, which is another strong relationship that Adam's built with them. So he's definitely helping us out this year, and like I said, with Adam putting a good word out, you know, everyone pretty much who he had is keen to come on board to support me, and I'm definitely going to make the effort to get to know them and get closer to them so we can build a strong relationship like they did. Basically, the difference between F2s and midgets, there's not much. They're pretty much exactly the same. Same size cars and everything. The only difference really is the motor size. You're running a 2 litre in the F2s, and whereas a midget is running a 2.4 litre. So the price difference is crazy. There's a lot of dudes that are racing F2s because of motor cost. You can pay between 50 to 70,000 on a midget motor just to go racing, and if that thing goes bang, then you know you got to have a big budget. And with the F2s, because they're a car motor in a way, you know, you can get them a lot cheaper, and they're a lot more reliable. They're just as competitive against a midget if you're at the likes of Huntley, real tight turns, real slick. You know, you got those cars that are buzzing their tyres because you've got so much power, whereas ours, they're slightly underpowered with their restrictors in it. You know, the wheels aren't spinning as much, so you know, we can definitely race against the big boys and get good results. But all in all, they're pretty identical. The F2 class was started by Bill Buckley. It's definitely his class. He started it for the reason for the likes of people that couldn't afford midget racing. You know, you got to have a big budget these days if you want to be up the front with the top dogs like Pickens and all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely to start a cheaper version of midget racing. Like this class, you're not allowed carbon fibre panels, titanium. You're not allowed in-car cockpit adjustables on your shocks. Just some of those factors where that's where a lot of the money is spent, apart from the motor and all that itself. But for the likes of, say, us, like as a family, to compete with someone like that, you know, it's a bit hard. So it's definitely the reason why we're here. The whole way that this deal came about is, you know, at the end of our season, we were pretty skint on money, and Mum and Dad kind of sat me down and said, you know, this could be my last season, and so don't get too excited or get your hopes up, kind of thing. So you know, I always had that in the back of my mind. So towards the end of the season, I was definitely giving it my all just in case. We were kind of sitting on the fence on racing or not. It was just depending on what sponsors did and all that kind of stuff, and if mum and dad could afford it themselves. When we were in that situation, we saw the opportunity that Adam put up about looking for a driver. Like he said, he's always wanted his own team, and show those big guns that a little garage like this can produce a winning team. And we jumped to the opportunity because driving for a team in New Zealand doesn't come often, and there's only maybe 2 teams out there that have one's like America where they pick the best, and so getting a drive for a team in New Zealand was pretty good, and it was one of my goals to get picked up. So the process that we had to go through to get into this drive, I'd say, we had to email Adam our racing CV, pretty much covering just where we're from, who we are type of thing, personality, racing, just results over the years, your sponsors, what you can provide for him and what we do for our sponsors. So we went through that kind of process, and I think there was about 35 entries. He definitely sat down with his team and went through all of them with a fine toothpick, and it came down to a top 10, and every person within that top 10 got an email to say you've made it in the top 10, and then it got close to a top 4. So it was definitely looking good, and then again, like mum and dad said, if you make it, you do, but if you don't stress, there could be something down the track. And we got to the top 4, and it went really quiet for a couple of weeks, and we saw like a Facebook post saying that they've made their decision on the driver and that they'd email them, and a couple of days went by and we didn't get an email. I was kind of a bit bummed, but mum and dad kind of were a bit seedy about it, and told me to stay positive and all that kind of stuff, and with the relationship that he's built through Jason at work, they kind of teed up and said that I had to do a signage job out at BSL, and it was funny because Adam actually called Dad up saying, oh, we need Nathan's helmet and Hans and seat out at BSL, and Dad asked why, and he said, oh, well, we'll pick Nathan for the team. So that was pretty cool, and I'm out there expecting to do a signage job, and I'm looking around and I see my helmet on the table, and what's that doing here? And then kind of all fell into place, and I walked down the end of the workshop, and here's James Sowen with taking snapshots and everything of my first expressions of finding out that I made the drive and all that kind of stuff, and Adam was there, and mum and dad and all that kind of stuff, so it was definitely a big surprise, and it definitely caught me out. This season I'm going crazy, man, like far out. It's it's hard to explain when you're in that racing bug, and you got it, and definitely it does add to it when you've won races and you're competitive. So that fuels the fire, and you just want to go out there and give it all and just get back into it, man. There's nothing like it to explain what it's like racing an open wheel at Western Springs, especially rolling out that pit gate on the opening night. It's a pretty cool feeling, and me and Brad always at work rack each other up when they combine the F2s with the midgets sometimes at different tracks, and I'm always giving him stick about when I'm going to pass him, and he always tells me he's going to take me out and put me in the fence, and we definitely rack each other up, and I think that's good. When you can build a relationship like that, especially with your idol. He's helped me out with a few tips here and there on the cars already, what to expect on how they're going to handle and with the steering angle and all that kind of stuff, and he's definitely onto it, so he's definitely helping. But man, I'm just eager to go racing again. I just want to say a big thank you to Adam Dobbs and Crusher, Carl. he's a crew chief this year, and he definitely knows his stuff. He crewed for Brad, and he won about 8 features, I think. So that tail was looking pretty good with feature stickers. So he definitely knows what he's doing with the spanners, and you know, he helped out Peter Honeybell, and now he's 1NZ, and he's helping out Jonathan Allard, who's 1NZ in the sprint cars. And you know, that little group there, we're all pretty good, and we all know each other, so we get along pretty good. And you know, Crusher, I'm working very well with him, and you know, he's the man. He was a big factor in picking the driver for this team, and it sounds like he was backing me up 100%, and he definitely wanted to do it for me and set the cars up for me and work with me as a driver and go through this new journey. I definitely need to thank Mum and Dad, because without them, if they didn't have that good Sunday night, I wouldn't be here. Especially throughout the racing and everything, you know, they've sacrificed a lot, definitely out of their own lives. It's probably put them in the red, definitely a lot, just to keep me racing and doing what I love. So that's definitely a big part of it, and all that kind of stuff, family and all that. Sponsors, you know, without them, cars probably wouldn't be out there. I really hope everyone carries on following me on the Dobbs Motorsport page. We're the #1 speedway racing page throughout New Zealand and Australia. You know, we do a lot for our sponsors and all that throughout the season, throughout the nights. We're constantly updating the page with how everything's going, and each night we'll be doing an update after that night, so if they don't make it that night, they can catch up on all that kind of stuff, see how the team's going, results, and just keeping up to date with us on Dobbs Motorsport on Facebook.